Have you ever tried to describe a profound experience, a moment of deep peace and meditation, a surge of love, a crushing grief? You reach for words, but they feel inadequate, flat, like trying to describe a symphony using only the color blue. We sense our inner world is vast. But how do we talk about it? How do we even begin to map a landscape that is inherently private, shifting, and felt more than seen? For centuries, we've tried, through poetry and prayer, through philosophy and psychology. Yet the feeling often remains that something essential slips through the cracks of our descriptions. This was the monumental puzzle that philosopher Ken Wilber dedicated himself to solving. He looked at the fractured landscape of human knowledge where science dismisses spirituality, where spirituality mistrusts science, where cultures clash in their definitions of truth, and asked a radical question. What if all of these perspectives are partially right? What if they are not contradictory, but complementary, pieces of a much larger puzzle? The result is perhaps the most elegant, comprehensive, and profoundly useful map of reality ever drawn. The integral framework. But let's not call it a map. Let's call it a lens, a way of seeing that doesn't reduce the world, but expands our capacity to include more of it. Wilber proposed that every single moment of our existence, from the most mundane to the most transcendent, is co-created by four irreducible dimensions, four fundamental perspectives that are always simultaneously present. To ignore any one is to see with a blindfold. To embrace all four is to gain clarity. Imagine this lens. It has four facets, four windows into the truth of what is. The first facet is the intimate world of I. This is the realm of interiority, of pure subjectivity. It is the silent movie of your consciousness, the sting of a memory, the warmth of gratitude, the dull ache of boredom, the luminous quality of your own awareness. This is the territory explored by mystics and meditators, by poets and therapists. It is the felt texture of your life from the inside out. It cannot be measured on a scale, but its reality is undeniable. It is your first-person singular universe. But that interior castle, is not a ghost. It is profoundly embodied. This leads us directly to the second facet, the observable world of it. This is the exterior of the individual. If the I is the software of consciousness, the it is the hardware. It is the 3-pound universe of your brain, the firing neurons, the cascading neurochemicals, the intricate neural pathways. It is your measurable behavior, the words you speak, the pace of your breath, the data points of your physical existence. This is the beloved domain of science, of objective measurement, of third-person facts. It is the you that can be scanned, weighed, and observed from the outside. Now, see the intimate dance here. The I and the it are not separate. They are two faces of the same reality. A surge of anxiety in your eye is mirrored by a spike of cortisol in your. It's a deeply held intention in your eye manifests as a deliberate action in your right. To understand a human being, you cannot look at just a psychology or just a biology. You must see the constant, living feedback loop between the interior feeling and the exterior fact. They are partners in a ceaseless tango. Yet, no human is an island. Our individual tango takes place on a vast, shared dance floor. This brings us to the game-changing third facet, the shared world of we. This is the interior of the collective. It is the invisible web of meaning that connects us. It is our culture, the shared values, beliefs, and worldviews that shape how we interpret everything. It is the language we speak, the unspoken rules of our family, the collective trauma or hope of our history. This is the realm of shared understanding, of ethics, of relationship. It is the stories we tell ourselves about who we are. You cannot point to it like an object, but you feel its power. Every time you feel a sense of belonging. ... or alienation. The we is the water in which we swim. And of course, that cultural water exists within a tangible container. This is our fourth and final facet, the systemic world of its. This is the exterior of the collective. It is the material and structural scaffolding of our shared lives. The economic systems that dictate opportunity, the legal and political institutions that shape justice, the architecture of our cities, the networks of our technology, the physical state of our environment. It is the concrete stage, the built environment, the systemic infrastructure upon which the entire human drama unfolds. It is objective, structural, and it powerfully enables or constrains everything that happens within it. So, let's step back and behold a complete lens, all four facets, shining together, forming one coherent view. I, it, we, its. Subjectivity, objectivity, culture, systems, consciousness, behavior, shared meaning, social structures. This is not abstract theory. This is a practical toolkit for making sense of the complexity of our lives. Let's take a real-world issue. The climate crisis and look through the four facets. The eye might feel ecological grief, fear for the future, or a disconnected numbness. It is the measurable data. Rising CO2 levels, global temperature charts, the melting glaciers. The we is our collective values, a culture of consumerism, or a growing ethos of sustainability. The its is the systemic reality. The global fossil fuel infrastructure, international agreements, economic incentives. Suddenly, you see the crisis in its full, daunting dimensions. It is not just a scientific problem. It is also a crisis of consciousness, of culture, we, and of flawed systems. A lasting solution must address all four. This is the revolutionary power of the integral lens. It is an end to simplistic, one-dimensional thinking. It stops us from collapsing the shimmering complexity of reality into a single, partisan story. It is a call to radical wholeness and responsibility. Eat asks of USA, are you looking at your life with only one or two of these facets? Are you trying to solve a systemic problem with only personal willpower? Or analyzing a cultural phenomenon while ignoring the biological underpinnings? The integral lens is an invitation to grow up, to mature into a perspective that can hold complexity without collapsing into sin. It is the architecture for a truly inclusive wisdom. Because ultimate reality, whether we call it spirit, the universe, or simply what doesn't reside in just one quadrant, it is the living, pulsing whole that manifests as the I, through the it, within the we, and across the its. It is the music that arises from the interplay of all four instruments. And when you learn to listen with these four ears, and see with these four eyes, the fragmented world begins to heal into a coherent, astonishing, and participatory whole. Your life is no longer just a single note. It becomes part of the symphony.